This does take an SD, has a USB port, which it doesn't charge from that. Your on-off button, a reset, which I haven't tried, and your music. There's your power plug for sitting in the stand. The first time this comes off, there's a little piece of tape here, a little piece of tape here, holds it on. Now it'll slide down about that far, 2 or 3 centimeters, then it comes off. These little clips hold it down towards the bottom, but there's only actually one clip that holds it up. That's right there. So I believe the first time I put it on, took it off, I wedged in 2 butter knives right there sideways, and you just work it back and forth. It'll probably hinge right here on this thing for a while until you get it to where you can pop it off. And of course the little pieces of tape hinder it too. Now in here, this battery says 1600 milliamp hours. Now I don't believe that's actually true for the whole battery, because at the specs this thing is running at, I shouldn't be getting that for Wi-Fi and for reading. That would be comparable to this device, but I only get, say, an hour Wi-Fi and maybe 2.5 hours reading on this device. So I really don't think that's correct. I really think it's maybe doubled. The FCC said 2700 milliamp hours, which I don't see how that's possible if they dual the cells. Now here we do see a micro SD slot. Now what comes in there to begin with is a 1 gigabyte micro SD. I don't know what class it is. I personally went out and bought a 16 gig micro SD, which I was using in the slot in a converter. But as long as you look at the folders that this device puts in this after you put it in there the first time, and then you move your media into those folders, it'll actually show up on the device. I believe the books go in the ebooks folder and the video goes in the video folder, that kind of thing. And when you turn it on, it'll automatically find them. Now, I think there's definitely well, I've called tech support, and they do admit that there is a hardware accelerometer in the device. However, it's not currently functioning in the firmware. They went ahead and turned it off, and turned off a couple of the landscape modes, because when you did turn them landscape even manually, it locked the device up, especially in the reader. So they went ahead and disabled it in the current update. Now that is what the hardware, or that is what the software recall is going on right now with Kohl's. I bought this, and actually it was after the recall. Bought it, took it home. Later that day they called me begging me to bring it back so that they could send it back. Well, I called Pandigital, and they confirmed that it is a software recall, and that if you do update to the current driver on Pandigital's website, that's pretty much what they're doing right now. I do believe that was initiated by Kohl's, because obviously they're not marketing to a very advanced market. They're generally just selling an ebook reader, which, if it's just going to read ebooks, it shouldn't crash all the time. That's pretty much been my experience right now. I do use a stylus because for browsing especially, it makes it a whole lot easier because links are a little bit small to hit. But for reading, as long as you get used to the press and then move, you shouldn't have much of a problem. Go ahead and show you the night read function. And you save a lot more battery doing that. But again, got that small button. It is hard to get to. And that's pretty much been my my experience. I do believe this is a good competitor to this type of mid. I initially intended to purchase the iPad, but the Chinese seller tried to pull a fast one on me, sent me this one. I ended up getting it for a lot cheaper than it's even worth, because he didn't want me to send it back. However, there has been more support on this kind of device for now in the aftermarket dev firmware ROMs. Hopefully pretty soon someone will root and maybe put some kind of normal Android ROM on there, because I believe it's this UI that's slowing it down, what makes it kind of hard to work with. Now, I do understand Nate the Great's opinion. He bought it more as an ebook reader with extra functions, and some of those functions don't function correctly. However, I'm looking more at the potential of the device, and I believe in the future it will be a great device for Android. Hop on over to Slate Droid. There we've been talking about it, and hopefully pretty soon we'll have some ROMs or some kind of information for it to make it a better device.